2022 Program Performance and Accomplishment, KALAHI CIDSS Program. In 2022, the KALAHI CIDSS Program demonstrated the flexibility of the CDD approach and the different social development thrusts and priorities of the government through its three modalities. The NCDDP-AF is a disaster response project designed to increase access to basic social services while addressing the pandemic-induced needs of the targeted communities through a participatory approach. Pamana IPCDD provides micro-level interventions towards the peace and development of the conflict-affected and vulnerable areas in the identified ancestral domains. KCKKB sought to contribute to boosting countryside development by providing assistance and grants to families and communities with returnees from highly urbanized areas. As we sustain the efforts to meet the ends of these endeavors, let us draw encouragement at the fruits of our hard work and the services we rendered across the vigor and rigors of 2022. As of the year end, the program has scoped and engaged all targeted numbers of the communities in the region in its three implementing modalities. 523 barangays in 54 municipalities, distributed in 4 groupings, have been engaged in NCDDP-AF, with all the groups generally progressing according to their respective milestone-oriented plans. 18 CADTs with 149 barangays or ICCs in 31 municipalities, collectively grouped as Batch 3 areas, are implementing Cycles 2 and 3 activities of the Pamana IPCDD program. And the KCKKB has engaged 4 municipalities with 45 barangays under the KKB, BP, 2P, and 7 municipalities with 100 barangays implementing the KKB Cash for Work. Sub-project implementation and completion. Through the participatory activities on need identification and project development, communities have proposed and implemented 286 sub-projects with a 100% completion rate according to the 2022 target. This includes the 110 target numbers of sub-projects pegged in our office performance contract. Notably, most of the covered communities have implemented and completed sub-projects in response to the identified needs at the time of the pandemic. This is especially noted in NCDDP-AF and KKB, BP, 2P areas where the mode of implementation is disaster response. These sub-projects include those facilities for quarantine and isolation, provision of temporary jobs to unemployed community members through the Cash for Work and other relevant facilities or devices. Across the modalities, 51 conflict-affected areas, CVAs, were also provided with disaster response services. In Pamana IPCDD, with a regular mode of implementation, IP communities also proposed and implemented sub-projects relevant to their geographical and socio-economic contexts, carried out during situational analysis and needs identification. These includes road access or pathways, tribal centers, and pre- and post-harvest facilities. Essentially, the safeguard mechanisms prepared at the proposal-making stage were ensured within the implementation and completion of these sub-projects, especially in the context of the IP communities. Program beneficiaries. The completion of those sub-projects yielded an aggregate number of 135,407 household beneficiaries, exceeding the targets in 3 modalities. In the implementation of those sub-projects, we also targeted the socio-economic augmentation for the poor and marginalized sectors, who are members of beneficiaries of the 4 Ps. Of the total labor of 1,783 4 Ps members were employed during the implementation of SPs, although this is less than 4.2% of our target. Aside from the community grants, under the KKB, BP, 2P family assistance provisions were also provided to eligible families. A total of 271 families received different services, including transportation and relocation assistance, transitory family support packages, and livelihood settlement grants. As the year-end approaches, the program was also mobilized in the Cash for Work program for persons with disabilities, PWDs. A total of 18,971 beneficiaries were served and provided with cash assistance in exchange for the work they have rendered for their communities. Sub-project sustainability. At the outcome level, the program also ensured that sustainability mechanisms are in place in the implementation and completion of sub-projects. Of the 299 sub-projects eligible for the administration of sustainability evaluation tests, 83% or 247 sub-projects have encoded set data. 91% of the set administered sub-projects based on the encoded data have registered satisfactory or better sustainability ratings. For sub-projects with poor or fair ratings in set, concerned local government units, LGUs, were communicated for their necessary actions to refurbish the functionality of the facilities and reinstate the O&M groups. Gender-responsive CDD. The program also actualized adherence to the gender mainstreaming policy of the government by targeting the involvement and access of women to relevant opportunities during the SAYAC implementation. 68%, or 13,065 of the total community volunteers engaged in the program were women trained and involved in different key areas: planning, budgeting, and implementation. This is more than 17.88% of the 50% target for this indicator. Women leadership in different committees is also evident, where 68% of the total CVs acting as chairperson are women. Congruently, women's access to employment opportunities is also significant. They comprise 43.94, or 4,957 of those who were involved in labor activities during the implementation of various sub-projects. This is more than 8.94% of the 35% target for this indicator. The income received by women is almost consistent with the share they have contributed to labor activities. 40% of the total income generated from the implementation of sub-projects was received by women. This relegates the common issue of the gender pay gap, since there is somehow a decisive advantage for women both in their actual participation in labor and income they received. Grievance redress. We also tended to the issues and concerns raised along the progression of the program through our grievance redress system. 54 municipalities and 523 barangays covered in the NCDDP-AF have installed GRS. In the covered CAD-T areas of the IPCDD program, we have maintained the principle of cultural sensitivity by observing the inherent practices or systems of the IP community in handling or resolving issues or conflicts on matters where the latter are deemed significant. In 2022, we accomplished a 100% resolution rate in all grievances which were intake in the system. Financial status and accomplishments. Program funds provide the lifeblood for the realization of our physical accomplishments. A significant amount of the funds was channeled for various empowerment activities, capacity building, training, and sub-project investments. Generally based on the data, the financial status is at pace or consistent with the actual implementation status in each program modality. The obligation rate has reached or is already nearing the 100% accomplishment status. Disbursement is also at pace, reaching or exceeding the 80% target status for disbursement. Key performance indicator status. At the top of all these, we also work towards meeting the targets of the program's overall results framework as reflected in our key performance indicator. 8 indicators are already achieved by the program in the regional context, while we continue working on responding to the imperatives of other unmet indicators. Other initiatives and good practices. The quality of our effort is also manifested in the different initiatives and undertakings we have done beyond our minimum tasks and functions. The Conduct Indigenous Peoples Summit provides a venue for an open space dialogue with the IP leaders and other program partners in the actualization of the community-driven development in the IP communities. We have successfully hosted the 14th World Bank Implementation Support Mission in 2 municipalities, Alegria and Bayabas, where CDD elements were adopted and embraced by the communities. 2 types of research initiated by the Monitoring and Evaluation Unit also yielded favorable feedback. 1 was published in the Social Welfare and Development Journal of the DSWD. Another was presented at the Peace Research Conference. These researches provided relevant knowledge and evidence-based information on pandemic management and matters of peace and development. The innovation, application, and integration of the KC systems provided better support in the operation of the program, especially to keep track of the implementation and monitoring the accomplishments and status based on the targets. All of these achievements would not be possible without the dedicated and steadfast efforts of the program staff in catalyzing collective actions in the communities, the support extended by the regional top management, especially in dealing with issues and challenges, the assistance provided by the NHTS unit and the field office is ensuring the validity of the data for CFW for PWD's program, and the sustained partnership with the supportive and willing stakeholders of the program. And as we move forward, building on the gains we have garnered, let us reaffirm our commitment to contributing to the long value chain that services the poor and the disadvantaged, empowers communities, and ultimately ushers in opportunities for better living. For there is no valuable life endeavor than the work that unlocks potentials, build capacities, and eventually transforms lives.
DSWD